Well, Devonta Smith has been impressed with one rookie so far. We're going to be talking about TJ Watt because more news has come out on a possible deal between the Eagles and the Steelers, which makes no sense. And we're going to be talking about the wide receiver position because it looks like ESPN is suggesting the Eagles will land a veteran receiver for a possible depth move going forward. And we're here to talk about it. So let's get straight into it.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was.
What is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. So a lot to discuss here. I'll try to shorten it up as much as possible, but we're here to talk about wide receiver because the depth at wide receiver, in my opinion, is still questionable. And ESPN actually put out an article, a report, stating that the Eagles could be going for a depth piece at wide receiver, not just a depth wide receiver, but a veteran presence at that position. Now, one of the main receivers that's still out there right now is Tyler Boyd. Now, as I can remember, before they traded for Jahan Dotson last year in last year's offseason, he was connected to the Eagles a lot. I think he was, 8 years with the Bengals. He only had, 39 catches for 390 yards last year. He missed some time last year, had a hip injury, a back injury. He had a few little tiny injuries that kept him out of games. So he had a little bit of an injury hiccup last year on signing his one-year deal with the Titans, is now a free agent and potentially, could be Eagle bound. I wish I could say we have the depth at wide receiver right now for someone to come in, especially since Jahan Dotson is a free agent after this year and you have to replace him at some point. And it would be nice to see in this training camp if somebody can shine. I think there's a lot of guys on the back end of this wide receiver core, has a lot of opportunities, and Jahan Dotson has been the biggest difference maker to this offense because without Jahan Dotson, you can't move A.J. Brown around. You can't move Devonta Smith around. And if one of them gets injured, Jahan Dotson could play a number one. Jahan Dotson could play a number two. And because you trade for him so late, right before the regular season last year, he didn't really get a lot of opportunities. They kind of saved him for the playoffs, realistically, for the Green Bay game. And obviously the two catches he had in the Super Bowl, there's not a lot of tape on him. So the Eagles really took advantage of that situation and said, hey, teams are not seeing Jahan Dotson involved. So if we get him involved, it will really keep the defense on their heels, and I think it worked out for the better. So if you go into training camp, you kind of see what you have right now at wide receiver, especially on the back end. God forbid there's an injury. God forbid you need somebody who really needs to step up, okay? And there's obviously a few names out there, and we'll kind of go through the players as is. Terrace Marshall on a one-year deal to the Philadelphia Eagles. He's a guy that had a couple catches at OTAs. And this is a guy that has a lot of starting experience, a former first, second round pick from the Panthers a while back, hasn't really lived up to that status, coming to Philadelphia to really prove himself. Am I expecting a lot? Probably not, but I would like for him to surprise me a little bit. Former fifth-round pick in Ainias Smith would be an interesting one, too, because I had Ainias Smith being the starting wide receiver 3 last year in 2024, and he ended up getting hurt in the offseason program. I mean, look, he was a perfect height, perfect weight, 5'8", 5'9", 185, 190 pounds, speed demon, could catch in traffic, and he just really didn't show anything. He came back from his injury, and then he looked bad on punt returns. He really had no vision. I mean, he just kind of fell off. I think this is Ainias Smith's really last time that he really is going to prove himself because I think the Eagles are going to be strictly done with him after this offseason if he really doesn't do anything. So I'm kind of really rooting for Ainias Smith. I think the guy that I really want to really strive in this training camp coming up is Johnny Wilson. I really do, man, because what I really like about this new coaching staff is that they will give these rookies or give these young players a possible chance to make plays in actual games in the regular season. Johnny Wilson had a couple touchdowns taken away from him from some OPI calls. He had, I think, 1 touchdown in the regular season. They actually threw a ball to him in the Super Bowl, and I was actually really happy they gave him somewhat of a chance. But with that almost 6'7" height, big frame, I think he can really build on another strong offseason program. And I think potentially, not as a starter, but potentially he could be a really good backup for us. And God forbid guys have to miss some games. I think Johnny Wilson could do pretty good. I just need to see more. I just want just a little bit more from Johnny Wilson in this offseason program. And I think he'll start to cook pretty damn quick. So if you really don't go after a free agent like Tyler Boyd, I think these are going to be the options you have on the back end. And I think, this will be a wait and see approach with the depth at wide receiver and just see how these guys do between, practicing against each other, joint practices with the Browns. And obviously you're going to have the preseason games for these guys to show up even more. With Jahan Dotson being a free agent after this year, it's going to be really hard to replace Jahan Dotson after this year because this is a legit, first round talent playing as a number 3. He's a big difference maker, not even just making plays, like just him being on the field just gets attention of the defense because all these defenses have to watch out for him as well. And you got Saquon Barkley in the backfield that a lot of these defenses are selling out for Saquon Barkley because of how good this offensive line is, which you have one-on-ones all across the board, which opens up so much for the passing game for Jalen Hurts. Is Tyler Boyd something I want? Definitely not, but it's definitely something to keep in the back end if you really need it. And this is the new era in Philadelphia. This is the youth movement. So the Eagles are not giving up on young talent. You guys let me know on the depth at wide receiver and how you feel about it. Now, in other news that kind of bothered me a little bit, so Pittsburgh Steelers radio show, or Pittsburgh's radio show, 93.7 The Fan, Andrew Filipponi had some things to say about TJ Watt and a potential trade with the Philadelphia Eagles, saying if the Eagles called up the Steelers and said, we want TJ Watt, we'll trade you Nolan Smith in a late round pick, I think they make that trade. I really do. Okay, now this bothers me a lot because this is definitely not happening. Okay, I don't know what Pittsburgh Steelers, radio, media, what they think and possibly why the Eagles would give up Nolan Smith. Finally, after a horrible coaching year in 2023, Nolan Smith got snaps, but bad coaching behind it throughout that whole entire defense. A really bad ending to 2023. Finally, under a good coach and Vic Fangio, what he did throughout the season, 6.5 sacks, getting 10.5 for playoffs and regular season. The only Philadelphia Eagle in the playoffs that has ever had multiple sacks in the playoffs, which is absolutely amazing. Trading Nolan Smith would be a slap in the face. It really would. TJ Watt's 30 years old. Sure, if you're going for a Super Bowl, getting TJ Watt in the Eagles defensive line, it would be amazing. There's no doubt about it. But you're going to have to give something up for him. You're going to have to give away a first-round pick for him, a future first-round pick for him. It's not going to be cheap. And TJ Watt wants to get paid. There's even news coming out with TJ Watt and the Steelers that they're close on a deal, but they're not there yet because TJ Watt didn't really have a great season last year. It's kind of been a more down season than a more up season than he's had in past years. Why do you think Trey Hendrickson is still in contract dispute right now with the Cincinnati Bengals? These edge rushers want to get paid $30 plus, $40 plus million a year. And on top of everything else, these guys are 30 plus years old. And the Eagles are not in that business anymore. They do not want to extend players at 30 years old. It is done. It is never happening. The Eagles want to draft, they want to produce, and they want to coach these guys up to get them ready for the regular season and for years down the road. The drafting has been exceptional, and that's where they need to keep it. If the Eagles traded Nolan Smith in a late-round pick, let me tell you something. It wouldn't be a late-round pick. The Eagles would have to give up something a little bit higher, but at the end of the day, it's going to be hard to trade TJ Watt because you still got to pay him. We don't know what the future of Nolan Smith is. If he has a good year this year, possibly, because realistically, when you look at the 26 offseason, the number one move that's going to happen, the number one signing for the Eagles that's going to happen is going to be Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter is going to get the bag. We all know this. He'll be the highest paid DT. Well deserved. Even Vic Fangio says that Jalen Carter hasn't even reached his full potential yet, and that's even more scary than what it is. You got to remember, too, Nolan Smith is a first-round pick. He has a fifth-year option, so Howie Roseman likes to use those loophole fifth-year options when he tries to extend them down the road even more, because that fifth-year option will be cheaper than what that contract will be per year. So I think Nolan Smith possibly could be re-signed, especially if he has a fantastic year this year. Nolan Smith is just getting into his groove. Nolan Smith has shown up and he is here. He has cometh and he is about to destroy it. You're not going to have TJ Watt cut right in front of the line, Cut in front of Jalen Carter, get a big contract. Cut in front of Nolan Smith. Quinyon Mitchell down the road. Cooper DeJean down the road. All these other contracts the Eagles have to deal with. It's not going to happen. I don't know what Pittsburgh is smoking, but they got to stay away from spreading rumors like this because it absolutely makes no sense. The Eagles have no interest in this. I'd be shocked if there was. Now, Devonta Smith had the celebrity softball game. Okay, now he was interviewed afterwards and was asked about what rookie has impressed him the most. And he jokingly couldn't say the guy's name. And it's Andrew Makuba at safety from Texas. I think we're all excited for Andrew Makuba. I am. The safety position, even from Vic Fangio's eyes, pretty much was like, hey, we're not probably going to find out until who the starter is for the safety position until probably preseason. Number one, the health of these players is the most important thing. Got to stay healthy during training camp to joint practices to these preseason games. Andrew Makuba, can't wait to see him play, and I'm hoping he knocks it out of the park when it comes to getting this starting job. You know, Sidney Brown's another one where Fangio has talked about Sidney Brown saying, well, he had a lot of playing time in 2023, but he was under a different scheme. And then coming to 24, he was mostly a special teamer. They got to remember, too, you know, Sidney Brown had a concussion. He had an ACL injury. He's had some injuries, you know, coming before this 2024 season. And, you know, I like Sidney Brown. I think a lot of fans give him shit for no reason. Like, you throw him into one game, he misses a couple tackles, and everybody's just pissed off because he had a couple snaps where he has no consistent reps at safety. And now he will in his second year under Vic Fangio. And let me tell you something, if Makuba gets hurt, knock on wood, or, you know, the safety position is kind of hurt and maybe there's guys injured and stuff like that, just remember, Justin Simmons is literally still a free agent waiting in the wings right now. I heard people would comment on some of my videos about Justin Simmons, like, why do you want Justin Simmons all of a sudden? What's going on? Yeah, I didn't want to go before the draft, sign Justin Simmons and just call it a day and just bandage up the position. I had a 32-year-old player that plays well under Vic Fangio because he has connections to him. I wanted to draft a guy. And if you want to add a Justin Simmons to the group on top of having Andrew Makuba and Sidney Brown, that I'll feel more comfortable with. But that option is always out there if needed. The safety position is going to be another wait-and-see approach, like a lot of other positions, that it's going to take until the last few weeks of preseason to really figure out if Makuba is going to be the starting guy. Well, other than that, that's pretty much it. We have 3 more weeks till Eagles training camp. Can't wait to see what happens. Let me know what you guys think about wide receiver depth. Tyler Boyd, how do you guys feel about the TJ Watt rumors? Does it make any sense to trade Nolan Smith away with a late pick? I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, and I think a lot of you will probably agree that it's not a great move. But that's going to be it. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Eagles news every single day. We'll be covering every single day of training camp coming up, and definitely like the video because it helps out tremendously. You guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you guys on the next one. Shakes well, follow, peace out, guys. Peace.